Hi, it's me. Okay, Albatross coming in hot as usual, but I really want to get this out because, Prince Andrew's not the most pleasant person to talk about, even occupy your thoughts whatsoever. But this was kind of important because in an interview he did in 2019, there was a lot of stuff that went viral about that interview. None of that stuff I'm talking about today because there were some other things in the interview that, because of all that outrageous, outlandish stuff he said, like about his sweating, not being able to sweat, and all of that. I overlooked, and I think of a lot of other people overlooked some other things he said that are important, like right now, especially with the trial that's going on with P. Diddy currently. And you'll see in the end why, in my personal opinion, it connects. It could just be some one off random speculation or connection. But you know how this stuff works. None of this is really that coincidental because their world is very small. What world is that? The world of the very, very rich people. It's not as big as we think it is because there's only but so many really, really rich people in the world. But anywho's, let me not get in the weeds because I really want to get all this out and all that. Before I did, I wanted to comment on this article. Amongst the tons and tons of P. Diddy trial articles, this one caught my attention. I thought, this is odd. And then I saw, who is the source of this information that Trump could possibly, no, not even possibly. Trump will pardon Diddy if the rapper is convicted. Who said this, you might ask? Suge Knight. Like, why would Suge Knight say that? Maybe there's something I'm missing, and someone correct me if I'm wrong. But, and this is my opinion, I could be wrong. Like I said, maybe there's connections I'm not seeing. Like, yeah, P. Diddy was, I don't know, I guess friendly with Trump at some point. He was also friendly with Biden and Kamala. Like, like their circles are small, like I said. So, in my opinion, this is my opinion, I feel like if he were to seek a pardon, wouldn't it have been the time to seek it been when Biden was just throwing out those pardons like candy? I mean, P. Diddy was in jail at that time. So I'm a little curious why where's this comment coming from? Surely it's not unrelated, like, because I'm confused, because didn't he campaign for Biden? Wasn't that like, or Kamala or somebody, weren't they buddies? Or did I miss something? Did I miss some campaign where Diddy came out and supported Trump? Did I miss that? Someone let me know if I missed something, because that's possible. Because, I mean, I didn't really keep up with any of this until last December. So, I like right when these pardons were going out. Unless I missed something beforehand. I don't know. Someone let me know. But anyways, moving on from that into the Prince Andrew stuff. Okay. Now, first, I would like to say that I myself personally was never really a huge fan of the royal family. I always kind of thought they were boring. And I'm being honest. Like, I always kind of thought they were boring. I mean, Princess, maybe they would have been interesting, but like Princess Diana died when I was like a teenager or something. So I don't know. I just never really had much interest in it. And so it kind of boggles me, like, how do I know so much about them? Like, I can't think of a single family on earth, and I'm not trying to be mean or anything, like, I'm really not, but I can't think of a family on earth I care least about than them, but yet I know all these details about them, and yet there's probably so much more I don't know. You know what I mean? So I've only just recently, like, researched them, so keep all that in mind. I'm bringing this out and acting like it's a surprise is because it was a surprise to me, But let me continue with his interview. Okay. Now, clip one. And I'm going to give a little pretext to why I clipped out these clips, why I think they're important. In this clip, Prince Andrew tells the world how he met Jeffrey Epstein, and that it would be a stretch to label their relationship as a friendship. That's kind of the point he's trying to get across in this clip. But let's watch, see it for yourself. All right, here we go.
We'd be discussing your work, your duty. We'll come on to that. But today, you've chosen to speak out for the first time. Why have you decided to talk now?
Because there is no good time to talk about Mr. Epstein and all things associated. We've been talking to Newsnight for...
He seems just a little point to point out and to make sure that they don't try to, cease and desist me and all that. I got to pause every once in a while. But is it just me? Or does he seem like he is totally unprepared for this interview? I mean, I don't know. It just, let me know if you guys feel the same. That's what it seems like to me.
For about 6 months about doing something around the work that I was doing. And unfortunately, we've just not been able to fit it into either your schedule or my schedule until now. And actually, it's a very good opportunity. And I'm delighted to be able to see you today.
As you say, all of this goes back to your friendship with Jeffrey Epstein. How did you first become friends? How did you meet?
Well, I met through his girlfriend back in 1999, and I'd known her since she was at university in the UK.
Wait.
And it would be...
What? You see, a little context, a little tidbit I know, and I could be wrong about this, but you see, I thought her family weren't cool with the royal family. I don't know. It was just an interview I saw with one of his old security guards, so it's just kind of funny to me that, I don't know. Anyways, continue, Andrew.
To some extent, a stretch to say that as it were, we were close friends. I mean, we were friends because of other people. And I had a lot of opportunity to go to the United States. But I didn't have much time with him. I suppose I saw him once or twice a year, perhaps maybe maximum of 3 times a year.
In my opinion, like I said, royal families, right? They got some kind of tradition or event or something or the other, shindig or whatever, just about every month or every other month. So in my personal opinion, wouldn't seeing, taking the time to fly to the US or fly someone there, vice versa, to spend time with them, significant time with them. I don't know, that seems a little bit more than just well, I don't mean more than, but they definitely seem friends and close enough where someone could perceive them as being close friends, especially since, as he says, if Ghislaine was his close friend, then thereby extension, her partner would also, I don't know, I'm just, saying, it would just make a lot more sense to me from a PR standpoint to, whether you're guilty or innocent, to admit totally, yeah, we were friends. Yeah, we were friends. But it's he's having a hard time to even do that, it seems.
And quite often, if I was in the United States and doing things, and if he wasn't there, he would say, well, why don't you come and use my houses? So I said, that's very kind, thank you very much.
What? Okay, see, that's what I mean. So he's the man is letting you just crash at his crib. Not Ghislaine's, but his. That's a close friend. You wouldn't let anyone other than a close friend just come stay at your house. I wouldn't think, right? Especially if you're that rich. Oh my gosh, yeah, I wouldn't, especially when you're up to the crap that he's up to. I don't know. I wouldn't let anyone but a close friend. I'm just saying. And I don't even do, weird stuff. Well, maybe I do weird stuff, but I don't do illegal stuff. So, That's a close friend, dude. That's a close friend. I'm calling you. I'm calling your bluff. He's a close friend. He's letting you just stay at his house while he's not there. My personal opinion. But hey, but don't take it from me. Let's let him tell us a little bit more about their not close friendship.
Thank you very much indeed. But it would be a considerable stretch to say that he was a very, very close friend. But he had the most extraordinary ability to bring extraordinary people together. And that's the bit that I remember, is going to the dinner party.
That's the bit I remember. He has an extraordinary ability to bring, what was it he said? What did he say? Important people or something together? I don't know. Very interesting, right? He had this extraordinary ability to do that. This math teacher, previous math teacher with no business degree whatsoever in any way, form, had this amazing ability. That's odd, right? Anyone else find that odd?
Parties where you would meet academics, politicians, people from the United Nations. I mean, it was a cosmopolitan group.
From the United Nations. He just said that. He had this extraordinary ability to bring together academics, politicians, the United Nations.
Group of what I would describe as U.S. eminence.
Was that
So yeah,
we'd be
sorry. So yeah, interesting, right? I find that very odd that he felt to make that point. He had this extraordinary talent to bring all. Okay, well, we get it now. We get the point. Let's move on. Okay. So maybe he can't cop to being close, very good friends with Jeffrey, even though he's allowed to stay at the man's house when he's not there. We can definitely conclude, in my opinion, that him and Ghislaine Maxwell were very close indeed. In fact, not just with him. She wasn't just close with him. She was close with the whole daggone family, even though they were supposedly disgraced. Now, a lot of photos have been wiped from the internet of him and Epstein, but there's a couple you'll find here and there. Like in the picture you just saw before with Andrew and Ghislaine. This is the same event. It's what they call the Royal Ascot. And I'm going to be frank, I'm going to sound like an idiot. I have no idea what that is. But it's an event. It's a royal event. So there's Ghislaine behind whatever lady's like scowling at Andrew at the moment. I don't know who that is. She's got blonde hair. I'm not sure who that is. I thought Fergie had red hair. But anyway, Ghislaine's right behind her, hiding in shame. But obviously they were, very close indeed. And he had known her since 99. So they're like old friends. So, and she was with Jeffrey about that long. So by extension, right? Right? I think she'd known him at least that long. So in a way, he's known Jeffrey almost as long as her, if that's when he actually met her. I think he knew her from much longer. Because, she's related to them. They all know each other, so I'm sure he's known her his whole life. But he claims to have met her in 99, which is, if I'm not mistaken, hold on, let me fact check this. Hold on. Okay, on my computer. When did Ghislaine Maxwell, oh crap, hold on. Misspelled her name. Maxwell meet Jeffrey. Let's see. Oh, see? Right? Look. According to AI, if it can be believed, we know that AI is a little shady too, but let's see. What's their source? What source are they using? Their source is The Independent, who did some kind of article on them. So yeah, and the Times, reported that Maxwell and Epstein met in the early 1990s at a New York party following a difficult breakup with Count Gianfranco Mazzani of the CIGA Hotels clan. I'm sorry if I mispronounce name. I hate mispronouncing names. I'm just really bad at it. But yeah, so as we can see, if he is telling the truth about when he met her, he would have met him around the same time. So it's bullcrap, Andrew. It's bullcrap. And we've only just begun. All right, next clip. Andrew wants to tell the world he was perfectly content in his marriage and he had no need to party. No need to, it was certainly not about partying. And another weird thing is like this word, when anytime the reporter brings up the word party, this is kind of the point I'm getting at here in this video. He starts to stammer, he starts to stutter, he doesn't want to be associated with parties and Jeffrey Epstein in any way, shape, or form. And I guess at the time, and this interview is in 2019, and at the time, none of us understood the significance of the elites getting together and partying. Like, we didn't really understood at that time. I mean, I know a lot of people did. That's not what I mean. I mean the general public didn't quite understand that was what was happening. And just got ringing in my ear. But anyways, so it's weird, you know? Why, because at the time, as a casual observer, you're not really thinking that that's the word he's getting frustrated with. You might just think he's getting frustrated with the interview and he's just stumbling and stammering. But it seems to be that it's any time that the word party is brought up, he loses his shit in retrospect. And I could just be making a false connection. I don't know. But he really doesn't want the public to think he went to any party in any way, shape, or form with Jeffrey Epstein at any time. And also another thing, I don't think, unless I'm mistaken, that Epstein's victims specifically talked about these parties. I heard them a lot of them talk about like the massages that he would make them do in private. But I haven't heard much about like the actual parties from them. Yeah, I'm sorry guys. It's just all these connections I'm making in my head like right now as I'm doing this video and thinking about it. Like, dude, this web is deep. Like, I'm not even going to say what I'm thinking because, yeah, it gets, anyway. Let me just continue with what I was getting at in this video. Okay, so yeah, the point he's trying to get at, he doesn't party with Epstein in any way whatsoever. Okay. All right, here we go.
But then after...
Oh, sorry. Hold on a minute. This is a very short clip too. Just catch the very last thing he says. Okay, here we go.
But then after I got married, I was very happy. And I've never really felt the need to go and party. And certainly going to Jeffrey's was not about partying.
Did you guys catch that? Did you catch that? Going to Epstein's was certainly not about partying. Did you hear him say that? Well, what was it about then, Andrew? Were you just playing Uno? I don't know. Well, here's a picture that Virginia herself provided back in, what was it, 2014 or 2015? I don't know when she provided the photo. But it is the photo that he has worked desperately hard to try to say is fake. Not just him, but her too, Ghislaine Maxwell, there on the right, standing in the back like a total creep. Her and Prince Andrew both have been trying to say that this photo is fake. And listen, keep in mind, Virginia provided this photo before AI was such a huge thing. I'm not saying AI wasn't a thing yet, but like I don't think it was as common as it is right now as it was like 10 years ago. It was at least 10 years ago when she provided this photo. It looks totally real to me, my opinion. And yeah, there's one picture of him and his wife to give him a little, be a little devil's advocate here for a minute because we all like fairness. These are some particularly happy looking pictures. I mean, Fergie's beautiful. She's a beautiful woman. I don't know what, I don't know anything about these people. I'm just saying from my perspective, knowing what I do know about these people, I can't help but to feel sorry for a little bit the women that marry into these families. I'm just saying, because, I mean, it's clear as day how partial the media is, like, towards, it's like they're destroying these women. And it seems to me, and I could be wrong, this is my opinion, allegedly, maybe, that it's the men they marry who maybe get a little bit jealous of all, because no one cares about them. They're boring. They are boring as hell. They can't relate to anybody. So of course it's the relatable women that they marry, people are interested in. And honestly, I don't even think it has anything to do with the fact that they're women. It's just that they're more normal than they are. And they're not even normal, really. Most of them come from very rich families. Not all of them, but a lot of them do come from very wealthy families. But they're still more normal than the royal family to us. Normal folks. So that's why people wanted to know about them. But, being a prince and being told your whole life that you're better than everybody, than all these peasants, and that you're God's chosen, you're God's favorite, the special one, that the incorruptible one. Because you've been told that your whole life by everyone around you, feeding your ego, I mean, I'm assuming you believe that they believe it. And then, of course, nothing hurts the ego more for a man. Well, for these men, not men. I'm sorry, I don't mean to categorize all men in this category, because not all men are like that. They're not. These men, with a huge ego imbalance, very huge ego imbalance, I'm sure it's not pleasant when the woman they're with, who they probably don't even like, because they don't marry for love, is getting all the attention. I mean, Princess Diana told us about it in her interviews. Her interviews are heartbreaking. They always make me cry. And, and she's not even showing an overload of emotion in the interviews I've seen. It's just the emotion in her words. It's very powerful. They hurt that woman bad. And, I don't know all the reasons. Listen, I don't know. I know there's two sides to every story. But, knowing what I know, it's hard to kind of explain that away when he was such a power imbalance. He was cheating on her and getting mad at her for being depressed about it. It was like very weird and toxic. Very weird and toxic. And this is also my opinion. I can't say this is enough. This is all my opinion. I just wouldn't put anything past these people. They just are so obsessed with their appearance, but yet they don't mind being crappy people behind the scenes. It's so weird, and it's something I don't understand. I'm not familiar with. We get to clip 3. Andrew tells the world that he only knew Epstein because of his friendship with Maxwell. And listen, Andrew, it's not really any better at this point. Some argue that she's even worse than Epstein. So what's your point? However, he does stress that in order to perform his duties, he had to fulfill his duties and his royal obligations. In order to do that, the Epstein connection was an absolutely vital experience. Don't just take my word for it. Let's listen to him tell us about it. Okay.
So I wanted to know more about what was going on in the international business world. And so that was another reason for going there. And the opportunities that I had to go to Wall Street and other places to learn whilst I was there were absolutely vital.
He was your guest as well. In 2000, Epstein.
Absolutely vital. You heard him, right? They were absolutely vital experiences to fulfill the roles that he had to fulfill.
Was a guest at Windsor Castle and at Sandringham. He was brought right into the heart of the royal family at your invitation.
But certainly at my invitation, not at the royal family's invitation.
Andrew, stop. Stop. Just stop it. We all know there ain't not a single person gets on those grounds without the royal family's invitation. You really expect us to believe? You really expect us to believe that if William, the Prince of Wales, doesn't officially write the invitations that you do? Like, what do you think what world do you think we live in? As little as I know about the royal family, I know better than that crap. They're not going to let nobody on there that they don't know. Sorry. Now, they're going to sit here and pretend all day they want that they didn't know. But tell me, stop. Stop. They haven't been this powerful for so long for being stupid. They know who's there. They know who's at their parties. Oh, you just wait. Just wait until... just wait. But anyway.
But remember that it was his girlfriend.
No
That
better.
was the key element in this.
No better.
He was the, as it were, plus one to some extent in that aspect.
Am I right in thinking you threw a birthday party for Epstein's girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, at Sandringham?
No, it was a shooting weekend.
A shooting weekend.
Just a straightforward shooting weekend.
What? Did you guys hear that? Not even the reporter. Did you see her face? Hold on, let's see if we can play that again. That was priceless. Her face. A shooting weekend. That was her response. Hold on, okay.
For Epstein's girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, at Sandringham.
No, it was a shooting weekend.
A shooting weekend.
Just a straightforward shooting weekend.
Yeah, that was priceless. That was priceless. She didn't buy it. A shooting weekend. Okay. And this picture. Look at this picture, guys. Now, it took me a minute to catch it. What is wrong with this picture here? What? Sorry, my stomach's growling. What is wrong with this picture here? Okay, well, I'll tell you what I noticed after looking at it for a few seconds. We've got Andrew here, Prince himself, at attention, right? Marching in attention, straight forward, eyes forward, like a good soldier, right? Well, tell me why, tell me why that, like, not a single one of them look like they're taking this seriously. Not one of them. And I'm not saying they're not serious officers. Maybe they are. But it has to be one or two things, guys. It has to be one or two things. Either one, they're not real soldiers. Or two, which I think is the most likely, is that, in my opinion, is that they all agreed with each other. Like, dude, we're not gonna take this seriously. No, we're not. So come on, guys. No, let's make the weirdest looking faces. All, like, when they're taking those pictures, I want tongues out of your mouths. I want eyeballs to the sky. Mean mugs, all of it. Smile, whatever. But no one be at attention. That's what it looks like to me. Oh my gosh. My opinion, allegedly, but it looks like, yeah, an ego performance for Prince Andrew. And it looks like they're very aware and bitter about it. Oh my gosh, someone tell me if they think, please tell me. I mean, come on. Tell me it doesn't look like that. If it's not that, it looks like that. Okay. And I'm not being, and I swear, I'm not being disrespectful. I have a huge respect for the military. A huge respect. That I'm not, that has nothing to do with that. I it's sad to me that that all the heroes that they've got in their military and they're propping that asshole up. But anyway, we get to clip 4. Right? Okay, and this is very interesting because he mentions that he knows the signs. Andrew knows the signs of child abuse. How does he know the signs? Because he was trained to know because of his role at the NSPCC. Can't remember what the acronym stands for, but it's their organization, his charity for children who are abused or exploited. It's basically like their version of our National Center of Missing Exploited Children. It's the UK version of it. And at one point, Andrew was the chair of it. I'm sure he's not anymore. Actually, I'm pretty sure he's not. But let's hear him tell us all about it, because he's way more entertaining than I am. Okay. Here we go.
Sandringham, the shooting weekend.
Yeah.
We now know that he was and had been procuring young girls for sex.
At the shooting, the shooting weekend, that wasn't a birthday party for Ghislaine. It was just a shooting weekend, a straightforward shooting weekend, according to Prince Andrew.
Sex trafficking.
We now know that. At the time, there was no indication to me or anybody else that was what he was doing. And certainly, when I saw him either in the United States, when I saw him in the United
he's giving like he's dissociated from what he's even saying. Like he's giving the wrong facial expressions for what he's saying. It's not vibing, Andrew.
States, or when I was staying in his houses in the United States, there was no indication, absolutely no indication. And if there was, you have to remember that at the time, I was patron of the NSPCC's Full Stop campaign, so I was close up with what was going on in those.
Okay, you hear that? Now, what is this Full Stop campaign? Well, we're going to talk about that as soon as this clip is done.
Time about getting rid of abuse to children, so I knew what the things were to look for, but I never saw them.
So you would have made that connection because you stayed with him, you were a visitor, a guest on many occasions at his homes, and nothing struck you as suspicious.
Nothing.
So, there you have it. He would have known, right? He's not denying that these things happen. He's just saying he would have known, and he didn't see any signs whatsoever. And she was specifically referring to that shooting weekend in Balmoral. Now, I'm assuming she means that we now know that on that weekend, he was using her or something like that to procure underage girls. And at his castle, on his castle grounds, while he was the host of this party, he had no idea. No idea. And the guards didn't know. None of them knew. That's very suspicious to me. And, very suspicious to me. And it honestly, Andrew, it would have been more believable if you had said, I did see something suspicious. And I should have said something, but I didn't. And I should have. And I'll never forgive myself. Or something. Even if you didn't, he is just, telling on himself. And I'm glad. I'm here for it. It's the age of Aquarius. You got to tell on yourself. Like, the truth can't be contained anymore. It's daylight time. Anyhow. Now, this NSPCC that he's talking about, I pulled up a couple screenshots of their website. According to them, they're UK's leading children's charity. We've been looking out for children for over 140 years. So this is an older charity. Well, it maybe not according to the UK. In US years, it's pretty old. And we couldn't do it without you. Find out more about our structure, the way we operate, and how we fight for every childhood. And I thought that this organization is very interesting on like what they do and why it is that they needed the money that they do. It's all very interesting. But first, this is how they define child abuse. Just to throwing it out there, child abuse is when a child is harmed by an adult or another child. It can be over a period of time, but it can also be a one-off action. It can be physical, sexual, or emotional, and it can happen in person or online. It can also be a lack of love, care, and attention. This is neglect. Keep in mind, we have photographic evidence of him standing there next to a child in the care. Since she's not an adult, she would have technically been in the care of Ghislaine and Jeffrey. I mean, she's a teenager. She's a child. So, and you're telling me, Andrew, that none of that was suspicious to you? Saying if you are innocent, that is, if you are innocent. And another thing that is an odd pattern of these predators, especially these rich predators, is that they often do associate themselves with these kinds of charities. You know, the ones that always brag and boast about all that they're going to do or have done or whatever for the children. But when it gets down to like the actual, like the muscle behind it, like what they actually do, it's always really kind of hard to find specific things, you know? Those kinds of charities. They love to link themselves to those. Now, this website. How is your money spent? Your amazing donations, fundraising, and campaigning helps us reach millions of children and young people. Over 80% of our income comes from those who choose to give to us. Huh? Who choose to give to it? I'm assuming they mean that the other 20% is taxpayer money. I'm guessing that's what it means. I don't know. Unless they just steal money. Okay. So here is where they break down what your money pays for when you donate to them. What does it buy? Okay. And this is in pounds, not dollars. So forgive me if I say dollars. I'll try to remember to say pounds. Okay. £4 pays for one of our trained volunteer counselors to answer a child's call for help to Childline. Okay, so let me reread this. Wait a minute. £4 pays for a volunteer to answer the phone. But if they're a volunteer, what is it paying for? Is it paying for the electricity? Does it take £4 to pick up the phone? Curious, right? £3, next part, £3 pays for our Speak Out, Stay Safe program to reach one primary school child, empowering them to speak out if they're worried about anything. That's not real specific, guys. Like, what does that mean? What specifically does the $3 pay for? Do you give it to the child? Surely not. Like, what do you do with that $3? Or, sorry, pounds. What's that, like, to empower them? I'm going to need to see, like, an actual, like, list of services or something, because that's not good enough. That explanation's not cutting it for me. Empower them to speak out if they're worried about anything. That is so vague and not specific at all. If they're worried about anything. To empower them. How are you empowering them? To speak out, okay. If they're worried about anything, well, like anything is, like what? Okay, last one. £5 covers the cost of answering one call. See, no, that's, okay. So let's go back to the first block then. Let's go back to the first block. What is this £4 for? The volunteer, you're obviously not paying a volunteer. And if this, sorry, my bad, guys. I'm getting all heated and passionate now. If this £5 is what covers the answering the phone call for the electric or the phone bill or whatever, then what is this £4 for? Because they're a volunteer. Like, what is going on? Like, I'm serious. Like, so is what this website's saying £4 out of, how much is it? 8 plus £4 out of £12. We basically have no clue where it goes to, is what you're saying. Like 1/3 of the money they get, they don't account for. Now they're saying it in very pleasant terms, but that's what they're saying, is 1/3 of this money is unaccounted for. Very interesting. And Prince Andrew was the chairman of this foundation, and specifically this part, the Full Stop campaign. Now, I'm not really sure what the Full Stop campaign did actually, but their purpose was, as you see, cruelty to children must stop. But they don't really outline a cause of action that I've seen so far. But it doesn't really matter, because this whole campaign like went belly up. And there's a couple articles I found on it. This one was from The Guardian in either 2013 or 2014. From The Guardian. Why is the NSPCC forsaking the Full Stop campaign? The charity's fundraising director, and I'll try to link all these articles in the description. I think I've got them all saved. But, okay, so this is in 2013, 2014. So, but then there's one even older than that. And this one is definitely in 2007. And this is what it has to say. Hidden away in a dense, well-researched report into the causes and consequences of child abuse published last week is an intriguing and potentially explosive challenge to Britain's most successful charity fundraising campaigners. The NSPCC Full Stop campaign, which closed earlier this year, having raised over £250 million since its launch in 1999. I don't know how much is that in US dollars. Hold on, let me look. Okay, I got it. Okay, so 250 million pounds is the equivalent to about 330 million US dollars. Okay. So, a lot of money. Since its launch in 1999, which is generally regarded as a wonder of the age. But what, the report asks, might we realistically expect this huge marshalling of public generosity and cash to achieve in terms of its explicit aim of ending child cruelty? Good question. Very good question. And also, one little tip, one more thing I wanted to mention about all this. This article, 2007, right? Well, in the interview, he's speaking of December 2010. So quite a few years after this campaign was already belly up. And I don't know, maybe it's insignificant, but it just shows that he's not exactly being honest about everything, in my opinion. Because he didn't mention that, like he's saying that at that time, I was the chair of the Full Stop campaign, when it was already, it sunk because they weren't doing anything. They were collecting money, but they weren't exactly doing anything. From what it seems, allegedly, in my opinion. Okay, clip 5. Andrew explains why he invited Epstein to his daughter, Princess Beatrice's 18th birthday party in July 2006, 2 months after an arrest warrant was issued on Epstein in the United States. It's a legitimate question. Because before I get into the clip, I don't believe for 1 second that the security there, like, just wouldn't know of this. Right? I mean, can you imagine? Like, they had, like, how, like, they would have to be really terrible at protecting the royal family to not know that there's someone, a warrant out for someone's arrest in another country. I don't believe that, Prince Andrew. I'm calling BS. You don't get to be the most powerful family in the world without like stop. No one believes that. Even if it were true, I don't think anyone would believe that. Just my opinion. And then you bring him to your young daughter's 18th birthday. In my opinion, you definitely were close friends. Whether you believed he was guilty or innocent, you definitely must have been close friends. No way around it. Sorry. You're a freaking prince, for crying out loud. Prince Andrew. Like, stop trying to act like all, like, hermit in the cave. Like, only people like me that can do that. Like, you can't do that. And I feel sorry for that. For the child that you were. Not for the creepy grown man you are. But let's continue to the clip.
You've been on his private plane.
Yes.
You've been to stay on his private island.
Yes.
You've stayed at his home in Palm Beach.
Yes.
You've visited Ghislaine Maxwell's house in Belgravia in London.
Yes.
So, in 2006, in May, an arrest warrant was issued for Epstein for sexual assault of a minor.
Yes.
In July, he was invited to Windsor Castle to your daughter, Princess Beatrice's 18th birthday. Why would you do that?
Because I was asking Ghislaine. But even so, at the time, I don't think certainly I wasn't aware when the invitation was issued what was going on in the United States. And I wasn't aware until the meeting.
He is so insufferable. Oh my God. He's so insufferable. Like, you can't even just say, like, it was an error. You can't even say that. You can't even admit to such a small error as clearly inviting a convicted pedophile. So your daughter's, or well, not alleged, sorry, I guess he hadn't, I don't know if he had been convicted at that point or not. But either way, you had to have known about it. Your security had to have known about it. Or the Queen surely knew about it. Surely, Andrew. Wait, just quick side note. Princess Beatrice, did she even get a say on who got to be invited to her party? That's another good point. Like, why would she invite them? If they weren't close friends, how would she know them? Or if it, like, okay. I mean, maybe she got a friendship with Ghislaine, which would be odd and weird. Like I said, she's no better than Jeffrey Epstein. And it almost seems to me that the UK is clearly trying to cling to this notion that Ghislaine is somehow innocent or something, or not as guilty, but that's not the case. Maybe it was the case back then. I don't know, but I just don't know. Like, he's not even giving us a good reason that's not clearly a lie. But I'm just going to have to assume that 18-year-old Princess Beatrice probably in my opinion, didn't give a shit. Like, if Epstein or Ghislaine was there or not. It doesn't seem like, to me, she would consciously remember to invite them unless there was other family members doing the invitations for her. Maybe he was. I don't know. Maybe he was inviting his friends. But it was a lot of, I'm going to have to, maybe we'll look into the Princess Beatrice's 18th birthday for another video another time. But for now, it's interesting.
You picked up on it because he never said anything about it.
He never discussed with you the
never
fact
discussed it.
that an arrest warrant had been issued?
Ugh. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I'm biased because I know, like, what's coming. But, like, I don't know. He just is so, like... I don't think he prepared for this interview at all. And I don't think it's giving what he thinks it's giving. I really don't. But anyways, here's some photos from Princess Eugenie. I'm sorry. I keep getting their names mixed up. This is Princess Beatrice's birthday. And notice that she thought to include in her photo collage. This is why I don't think it was her who made any of these decisions. In my opinion. Look at this in her crap. Isn't that sweet of her? She thought to include her very royal cousins and her uncle, who is now the king, in her birthday collage photo. Very sweet. I don't think it was her who decided that, though. My opinion. And look who's there at the party. Another bombshell. I didn't even bring this up yet. Look who else is there. Yeah. No, not them. Not them two creeps on the right. On the left. Harvey Weinstein. He was there. Now, why did Princess Beatrice have Harvey Weinstein at her birthday party? I mean, sorry. My opinion, this girl, she didn't make these invitations. She didn't make these invitations. Please. This was like a power party. I don't know. Maybe she was being inducted into the elite class. Maybe that's what it was about. I don't know. But, interesting Harvey Weinstein's there. And no one's mentioned that I've seen. I came upon this photo by accident. I've never seen people talk about it. I'm not saying they haven't. I'm just saying I haven't seen it. People pay it much mind. But anywho, okay, we got 2 more clips. Oh wow, this is going to be a long video. Okay. Clip 6. Prince Andrew explains to the world why he went to visit Epstein in December 2010. And the reason is to tell him in person that they couldn't be associated anymore together, and that was it. I'm independent. I make my own decisions. But the only people who talked to him about it was not the palace. Not the palace. It was staff, friends, and family. Yeah. I know. That is the palace, right? Okay. Yeah. Anyway, let's get to this clip.
Nothing there.
No.
He was released in July. Within months, by December of 2010, you went to stay with him at his New York mansion. Why? Why were you staying with a convicted sex offender?
Right. I have always, ever since this has happened, and since this has become, as it were, public knowledge that I was there, I've questioned myself as to why did I go, what was I doing, and...
Wait a minute. He questioned himself ever since this. Since he's been associated with this. Right? I mean, he's, like, telling on himself. But, like, about, like, why? Why would I do this? Dude, like, stop. You didn't prepare for this interview at all. You just thought you were gonna wing it. You thought you had it in the bag. And maybe in 2019 you did. But times are different now. And I see it with a whole new eye given light to what has been exposed lately. I bet he never thought that anyone would, but anyway, he thought he was so clever.
Now, I went there with the sole purpose of saying to him that because he had been convicted, it was inappropriate for us to be seen together. And
He went there to break up with him, guys. He went there to break up. And he had to do it in person. Aww.
had a number of people counsel me in both directions, either to go and see him or not to go and see him.
What?
And I took the judgment call that because this was serious...
Well, wait a minute. If you weren't close friends, though, then... If you weren't close friends, if that's such a stretch, then... Why would it be so serious for you to go see him in person? If you weren't associated with it in any way whatsoever, if you weren't close, couldn't have you had just like maybe flown your buddy Ghislaine in or flown to see her specifically? Isn't she the key link there? Your words, Prince Andrew. You know, I don't even want to call you Prince because, like, I don't believe in any of that crap. I'm 100% American. I don't believe in any of that royal bloodline stuff. You know, you are, like, anyways, I'm not going to get into all it, but yeah.
And I felt that doing it over the telephone was the chicken's way of doing it. I had to go and see him and talk to him.
Oh, he's so brave. He's so brave. Okay, I get it now. I was mistaken. I was the one who was wrong. It was an act of bravery, a valiantry, of duty, if you will.
And I went to see him, and I was doing a number of other things in New York at the time.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure.
And we had an opportunity to go for a walk in the park, and that was the conversation, coincidentally, that was photographed. Which was when I said to him, I said, look...
It was coincidentally photographed, and which is why you're coincidentally speaking of this sudden, spontaneous walk in the park you took with him. Or, well, I guess not so sudden and not spontaneous. You planned it, but, you were there doing other things. Anyway, so it just made sense, you know? It was just, rather than just call him, he was going to be in New York anyway. Might as well just, take a stroll in Central Park. No biggie.
Because of what has happened, I don't think it is appropriate that we should remain in contact. And by mutual agreement during that walk in the park, we decided that we would part company, and I left, I think it was the next day. And to this day, I never had any contact with him from that day forward.
What did he say when you told...
Okay, wait. I know I ramble on a lot, but keep in mind, he's talking about that photo, and we'll show you, I'll show you in a minute, that photo of him and Epstein in Central Park, December 2010, not long after he was released. Okay.
You told him that you were breaking up the friendship?
Breaking up.
He was what I would describe as understanding. He didn't go into any great depth in the conversation about what.
Understanding? Do you listen to him? It sounds just like a couple breaking up. It sounds just like he's making... And she's helping it, too. She's a good reporter. She's really good. Because she's clearly sees this bullcrap. And she's like, you know what? This is going to be the one. This is going to be the one. Let me see how far I can get with this. So, how did he react to this breakup, a friendship? He was understanding, I would say. And he's clueless. He's just so clueless to normal people. He has no idea but I get it. She's brilliant. She's brilliant.
What I was doing, what he was doing.
Look at her.
Except to say that he'd accepted whatever it was, a plea bargain. He'd served his time.
He You see, Jeffrey couldn't accept it. He's like, I can't accept this, Andrew. I served my time. I took a plea bargain and I served my time for my crime. You know, why shouldn't we be able to see each other anymore? Well, it's not that simple. It's not that simple. You see, you know, it's my family. It's the family. You know.
He was carrying on with his life. You see what I mean?
See?
And I said, yes, but I'm afraid to say that's as may be.
It's not going to work.
But with all the attendant scrutiny on me, then I don't think it is a wise thing to do.
Who advised you then that it was a good idea to go and break up the friendship? Did that come from the...
See, she's slick. She's slick. She's slick. She knows how to push his buttons and get him to say stuff. Because she knew that would have irked him. A prince who suggested this, you know, as if he wasn't smart enough to come up with the suggestion himself as a prince of the free world.
And the palace was Her Majesty the Queen involved?
No. That came from... So there were a number of people who so some people from my staff, some people from friends and family I was talking to.
And there you have it. No. He said it like 5 times. No. You see, this came from friends, staff, family, a combination. He did not like that.
And I took the decision that it was, I had to show leadership and I had to go and see him and I had to tell him, that's it.
Oh my God. And I had to tell him, that's it. That's it. Okay. Remember that last part of the clip. Because now she knows. Listen, she is brilliant. Now she brings out the big guns. Watch how quickly he changes his story in this next clip. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Yeah, but there's the picture he was talking about. Okay, and keep in mind, as far in this interview, as far as we all know, that it's December 2010, and he was there in New York City anyway, and he thought he would go see Epstein in person, break up in person, because, you know, it would have been the chicken thing just to have called him on the phone, right? And he was there anyway. But he had to take this, made this decision because it was a personal judgment call and a sign of leadership, and tell him, that's it. Okay, that's it, right? Right, not so right. Because, she is slick. This reporter is truly brilliant. Okay. Now, watch how quick he changes his whole attitude about this whole event surrounding this picture. Once she brings up a dinner party, he like loses it. Watch. It's watch. Okay, here we go.
Talking to, and I took the decision that it was, I had to show leadership and I had to go and see him and I had to tell him, that's it.
That was December of 2010. He threw a party to celebrate his release, and you were invited as the guest of honor.
Oh.
Did you hear that? Like immediately, before you could even think. I didn't go. As soon as she said dinner party, 2010, December, he said, I didn't go. Did you see that reaction? Did you see that? Watch. Okay, now. Watch him just stumble all over himself. And just as she knew he would.
In 2010, there certainly wasn't a party to celebrate his release in December, because it was a small dinner party. There were only 8 or 10 of us, I think, at the dinner. If there was a party, then I don't know.
And we'll see. Look, I've got an article about this dinner party he's talking about. And it seems like it's quite a few more than 8 or 10 people. And there's some big people at this not party. But it was dinner. But it wasn't a party. Just wait.
I know nothing about that.
You were invited to that dinner as a guest of honor.
Well, I was there, so there was a dinner. I think it was quite as you might put it. But yeah, okay, I was there at a dinner. Yeah.
I'm just trying to work this out because you said you went to break up the relationship and yet you stayed at that New York mansion several days. I'm wondering.
She's so funny because she went from saying breaking up the friendship, now she's saying that you went to break up the relationship. She is so funny. I love her. I don't even know if she means to do this, but subconsciously she's brilliant. Chef's kiss, girls. Chef's kiss.
How long?
But I was doing a number of other things while I was there.
But you were staying at the house of
Yes.
a convicted sex offender.
It was a convenient place to stay. I've gone through this in my mind so many times.
Obviously not.
At the end of the day, with the benefit of all the hindsight that one could have, it was definitely the wrong thing to do. But at the time, I felt it was the honourable and right thing to do. And
you're so honorable, Prince Andrew. My bad. It's me that's mistaken, I guess. I just don't understand honor. Oh, just wait. I got an article. You just wait. I got something to show you guys. It's great. And it'll make this whole video worth your while, I promise.
I admit fully that my judgment was probably coloured by my tendency to be too honourable, but that's just the way it is.
His tendency to be too honorable. Do you believe that guy? His tendency to be too honorable. But this is the dinner party he's referring to. And Katie Couric, now she's an interesting gal. She's worth another video too. But she wrote a memoir, and I'm only talking about one thing from that memoir, and that is this dinner party that she mentions. Yeah, she talks about this dinner party because it really seared her memory really well. And just listen to the word she uses to describe it. I'm about to read it. And I'm not sure who those two on the left are. The woman on the very left almost looks like Melania Trump. I'm not sure if it's her or not, though. Let me move my thing. Maybe not. I don't know who that is. Okay, here we go. Katie Couric's new memoir vividly describes Jeffrey Epstein's creepy home where he hosted Prince Andrew for an intimate dinner party. I love the words. Dinner party. This is 2 years after the interview, by the way, with Prince Andrew that we just had to sit through and watch. Sorry about that. But yeah, it brings us to this. 2 years later, her memoir comes out, and she definitely describes it as a dinner party, and it was creepy. Okay, let's read it. Okay, the bullet points. Katie Couric attended an intimate dinner party at Jeffrey Epstein's house in 2010, according to her upcoming memoir. She has described his New York townhouse as eyes wide shut with a twist, per the Daily Mail. Prince Andrew was also in attendance, according to Couric. But I wasn't there. I wasn't there. Oh, Chelsea Handler was there. Woody Allen was there. Oh my gosh, you know it must have been something weird with him there. Couric reportedly describes Epstein's $75 million New York townhouse as eyes wide shut with a twist. Now, how could you get, you know what I mean? Like, eyes wide shut was already bad enough, but with a twist, what's the twist? In the memoir, referring to Stanley Kubrick's 1999 movie about a secret society that hosts mass orgies. I don't know if you guys seen that movie, but yeah, Eyes Wide Shut. It was like the last movie Stanley Kubrick ever did. Before he died, that's worth a whole nother video. But anyways, yeah, it was like about the elite orgy parties. But to be honest, I always felt like the movie was a little unfinished because the ending never, like, set right with me. Like, I don't think that was the true ending Stanley Kubrick wanted it to have. My opinion. Let me not get off track. Yeah. She describes the interior as creepy chandeliers and body part art, the Daily Mail reported. Now, and you're only going to talk about, like, eyes wide shut. Like, honestly, Like, were they having sex? She doesn't say, but they definitely were in Eyes Wide Shut. That was like the big thing, was the orgies. Guests, including Prince Andrew and Keurig herself, ate lasagna out of shallow bowls at the party, which took place just months after Epstein served a 13-month sentence for procuring a child for prostitution and soliciting a prostitute. The journalist reportedly writes in the memoir. See, you know what I mean? They all, like, knew. Well, I mean, I guess he did admit to knowing. But he certainly tried. At first, he was trying to... Oh, my gosh, that was so funny. Oh, I wasn't there. Before she could even get it out of her mouth. I wasn't there. Wasn't there. Oh, 2010. Well, it certainly wasn't a party. Epstein then held court in front of the fireplace to the likes of Chelsea Handler and Woody Allen. Maybe that was the girl in the photograph. Because I feel like if Melania Trump was there, they'd definitely be mentioning it. Okay. I couldn't imagine what Epstein and Andrew were up to, apart from trying to cultivate friends in the media, Keurig reportedly writes in the memoir. Which, in retrospect, they must have figured they need when the pedophilia charges started rolling. Girl, stop. Katie Keurig, stop. What do you mean started rolling in? He had already been convicted for pedophilia. Like, what are you talking about? Trying to dissociate herself. Like, please stop. That fancy language tricks don't work anymore. The Daily Mail said that the intimate soiree, attended by around 15 people, took place in the same month that Prince Andrew was photographed walking with Epstein in New York's Central Park. In the same month? You mean not the same day? How long was he there? For goodness sake. Well, I guess he was doing other things, according to him. Spokesperson for Buckingham Palace told the Daily Mail that the photo marked the last time Prince Andrew saw Epstein. So was the photo taken after the party or before the party? That's a little confusing. But yeah, so little summary, in my opinion. Everything I've known, accumulated knowledge about the royal family tells me to my gut that they value their image above anything, above even their own lives, above the lives of their people, above the lives of their children, above the lives of money, above the above it all is their public perception of their family. Like, look what they're doing to Prince Harry for even insinuating that they could have possibly done something wrong to him. They're sitting there putting out articles like, he must be unwell and we're worried because he sounds disturbed. Like, they're using real triggering words. You know what I mean? And they are the ones who have always been disturbed. They're totally projecting, like what they've always done, projecting their own dirtiness on everyone else that they want to shut up. It really is an awful family. Like, if there ever was, in my opinion, a family consisting of, like, people with reptilian souls, or, well, I don't know. I don't know if it's a soul. I don't even know what it is. Maybe, you know what? Maybe their souls were just scalped. Remember that book I read to you guys a few weeks back? I mean, they would be the top contenders of the world's leaders. You know what I mean? They like to play it cool and all, but like they pull a lot of weight. A lot of weight. But yeah, and this Windsor Castle thing, I don't know. Let me know if you want me to do a video on it, because this castle is very interesting. I didn't know this because I kind of wondered. I'm like, what came first, Windsor Castle or the Windsor family? And apparently it was the castle. The castle, I learned a lot of stuff. Castle, apparently, is like the oldest still being used castle in the world. Because it's like almost 1,000 years old. And it was built under the reign of William the Conqueror in 1070. So, oh my gosh, yeah, almost 1,000 years old. Very interesting. And yeah, a lot of old monarchs are buried there, or what, in the mausoleum there. Interesting, Jane Seymour is there. And the current King of England uses it as his weekend residence. So it's definitely an important place, not just to him, but to his mom. It was important to her, to the ones before her, the previous Windsors. This castle is very significant to this family for whatever reason, and I'm not really sure why I even brought it up. I don't know, but I just thought it was interesting. Order of the Garter was established there as its center. I don't know, just a lot about this place that kind of spooks me out a little bit, if I'm being totally honest. But okay, that's it for this whole video. I know it was probably my longest video ever. If you hung in there, thank you. You're real. You're real. So please sign and share this petition. I really appreciate it. And remember, Virginia, she needs justice. And that's really all I had. Thanks for listening, guys.